How's it going, everybody? Thanks for watching this video. I hope it helps you to have more understanding about the COVID-19 vaccine. This is the horror story of what happened to me after getting the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. I was a 53-year-old male in reasonably good health. I'm fairly active, although I don't really exercise. I have no medical history other than a little heartburn that I've taken over-the-counter med for. On June 3rd, 2021, I decided to get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine at my place of employment. We won't get into reasons why to get it or why not to get it at this point. After getting the vaccine, I had a small amount of shoulder pain at the injection site the second day that lasted for about a week. Also, the next day while with my grandkids at the zoo, I started to feel a little tired and weak, and I noticed my hips were hurting. A little while we were walking, not too bad. I went home and slept for a couple of hours and felt better. The occasional hip pain still has not gone away to this day. It almost seems like all my joints hurt a little more than they did before the vaccine. So for the next couple of weeks, I didn't notice anything other than the joint pain. But on June 13th, I went to the lake with my family and got a little more sun than I normally would have. I didn't get a sunburn, but on June 15th, I noticed some red dots on my calves. They weren't bumps and didn't itch, so I didn't really think anything of it. On June 17th, I went bowling with my grandkids, and my granddaughter was climbing all over me like a jungle gym. This is quite normal for her. When I took them home, we threw some disc golf discs around their yard that night. I noticed a few bruises on my upper extremities. Thinking it was just from all of the climbing, again at the bowling alley, I didn't really think much of it. But on June 18th, I had some pain in my right arm. I think it was from bowling, I'm sure. So I iced it a little. While I was sitting there watching TV, I watched a large bruise appear on my right wrist. Now this I thought was not normal. So on June 21st, I went to medical at work to let them know that I was having what I thought was a reaction to the vaccine. The doctor was concerned, so he asked if I would go to an urgent care center to get some labs drawn. They weren't able to draw the labs at medical at work, so I said yes. So I first went to an urgent care center, and the nurse practitioner said they couldn't do stat labs at their facility, and she wasn't comfortable sending me home until they knew a little more about what was going on with my levels. So then I went to a small emergency care facility. They drew the stat labs, and 20 minutes later, the nurse prac at that facility instructed me to go directly to the main hospital ER and not to get out of my truck on the way until I got there. She said either their machine was broken or I had one platelet in my body. Now let me explain real quick about blood platelets. Platelets are one of three cells in your body that your blood produces, or of your blood that your body produces. Red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Platelets make it so that your blood can clot. If you cut yourself or you're injured in any way, internal or external. A normal platelet count is between 150 and 400. Try to remember that number. So with that in mind, she was afraid that if I fell or anything on my way to the hospital, it could be serious. Upon my arrival at the hospital ER, they immediately drew more blood, more labs, and started an IV. Then the waiting started. No complaints here. They were very busy. So turned out the machine at the other place was broken. I had 5 platelets. So while waiting in an ER room, the doctor said finally they had to call 3 hematologists to figure out what was going on. Turns out that no matter which one of the vaccines I'd gotten, I would have had this reaction. The reaction is called immuno or idiopathic thrombocytopenia purpura, or ITP. And the hematologist said he has seen several cases in my local area. Before I get into the treatment, I wanted to explain something. What all of this meant for me with the platelets below 10, they were worried that even a bloody nose could cause a serious enough bleed that even in the hospital, they may not be able to stop it. So the treatment is to be admitted, put on fall precautions, and given IV immunoglobulin, or IVIG, which is considered a blood product taken from donors. The first bag was infused at around 3 a.m. and took about 3.5 hours. Labs taken again at 7 a.m. and platelets were down to 3 then. So the doctor decided to transfuse a unit of platelets, about 7,000 platelets in a unit. A second bag of IVIG was given at around 6 p.m. on the 22nd. The next labs were drawn at around 4 a.m. on the 23rd, and my platelet level was 56. So I was considered above critical, but still abnormally low. Anything under 100, they would question as to why it was so low. So I got to go home after lunch on the 23rd. Woohoo! I had orders to follow up with the hematologist at his office on the 28th for labs. This time they were 68. So they were going up, but for the amount of time they hadn't gone up enough. So he wanted to give me a shot of N-plates, a med that helps promote platelet production in your body, or in the bone marrow, and also a steroid pill, dexamethasone. Now this is a nasty one. It is 40 pills taken over 4 days, so 10 pills at a time. And you got to take them at the same, all at the same time. And it can really mess with your body, okay? I want to point that out. I got 45 minutes of sleep the first night on it. I was weak and shaky, had cotton mouth, restless legs, nausea, and I felt that way for about a week after I finished the meds. I was scheduled for the first shot of N-plates on July 1st and had already taken 3 days of the steroid. So the next shot was scheduled for July 6th. At this visit, platelets were at 172. So the doctor decided to forego the second shot and just retest on July 13th, hoping my body was regenerating the cells itself. July 13th, platelets at 14. Given another shot of N-plates. So, returned to the clinic July 16th, platelets back to 3. And then they admitted me into the hospital again. Giving me another IVIG, drawn early in the morning on July 17th. This time my platelets were at 25. So I returned to the clinic July 19th in the morning, and this time my platelets were up to 143. The doctor decided to put me on Promacta. This is a med that some people have to take for the rest of their life, and it is $10,000 a month at 50 milligrams a day dose, so that can change. Luckily, I have good insurance, so to me it would have cost a mere $1,300 a month. But after working with a couple of specialty pharmacy companies, it was $0 to me out of pocket. And after taking it for 3 days and possibly some residual IVIG from the hospital, my level was 206. At this point, I will be on 50 milligrams of Promacta for 4 months. That's $10,000 a month. They will then cut the dose to 25 milligrams and test every other week if my numbers stay in the acceptable level. They will wean me off slowly. I was told that if this did not work, the next choice would be to remove my spleen. And according to my hematologist, this was all caused by getting the vaccine for the disease I hadn't caught for over 1.5 years. It was the whole time it was supposed to be rampant in the United States. Now, don't take this as me saying don't get the vaccine. If you are high risk for having serious complications from COVID-19, by all means get vaccinated. But if you are just being pressured by the government, your work, neighbors, friends, do what you think is right. No research has shown this response, but there has been hundreds of cases since, and I am sure there will be more. Educate yourself, stand your ground, and please be safe. Thanks for watching this video. Take all my experiences to, whatever you think you need to do. All right, thanks. Bye.